In 1979, the second oil crisis in the United States followed upon the Iranian Revolution. And as gas prices soared, many Americans responded with boundless ingenuity. Ken Cetton was one such American.
Well, here it is. This is the electric car we built. It has an aircraft generator for a motor. It has a control mechanism here with about 3 relays, and this propels it forward at about close to 50 miles an hour. It has a range right now of about 20 miles, but if it was lightened up, it perhaps could go a lot further than that. And this is where we have the major battery pack. There are 6 batteries back here, and you'll see 2 up front where the gas tank used to be. And this just folds back and hides it so that you can drive without battery odor. Now up here we have the 2 other batteries where the gas tank used to be, and this is the battery charger so that you can charge it overnight. And the car's been rebuilt completely, has a new paint job, completely new interior, and it really perks along.
Now, as you'll hear in the following program, batteries and electronics are not the only power supplies Ken ever concealed in his vehicles.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Richard Cetton. I've got an exciting story to tell you. I'm 74 years old, but 52 years ago, when I was 22 years old, my life radically changed, and that's exciting. I ended up overseas and sometimes being pursued by the Turkish police and almost knifed to death in India and mobbed in Spain, and used to smuggle into communist countries under the watchful eye of the border guards with their rifles. So I had an exciting life. But it all started in an airport, I would say. I like flying. I don't know about you, but I like especially walking out to that plane. You don't do that much anymore. You walk out to this plane, and it's a big, beautiful silver plane, and you climb up these steps, and you look at this plane, and you get in, and off it goes. And that's sort of the way it was that day when I went hand in hand with my fiancée. It was 1953, and I was going to go to Korea for a year and a half, and we were to be married in 2 years. And we walked out toward that waiting plane. The propellers were on. The backwash of those propellers blew her sandy hair around her despondent-looking face, and I turned to her and I tried to come up with some words of encouragement, and finally she said, "I'll be waiting right here at this very place for you when you come back." I drank in her words of promise, and then drew her close and kissed her, and sort of like a scene out of Casablanca, sort of disappeared into the night toward that waiting plane and flew off to Korea. The problem was that we were supposed to get married there in 2 years. She got married in 2 years. But it wasn't to me. And though we wrote frequently, in fact every day, toward the end of my stay in Korea, the letters became less frequent. And as we got closer to that time of my leaving, I realized that she wasn't going to be waiting for me. It was sort of a veiled Dear John. I could read it between the lines, but her mother just didn't want her to tell me and devastate me. But I was devastated because I had been faithful to this girl. I hadn't gone to anybody else but her. And so I had 3 choices. I could blow my brains out, but I was company photographer of this company I was with, and I had taken some pictures of a guy who tried to do that. It was a pretty messy sight, so I didn't like the idea. I could go over the fence and sort of find pleasure in the women on the other side, but that didn't appeal to me either, because either one of those things I was sure would send me right to hell. And the third choice was become religious. Now, strangely enough, this fiancée of mine had given me a little New Testament, and so I finally cracked it and opened it and started reading it, and because I knew I needed something. Actually, when I analyzed it, I realized I was reading it just so I could argue with people, hey, I read the Bible, you can't tell me anything. Well, that last Christmas in Korea, I went to a Christmas Eve service and piled in the back of a big truck with other GIs, and off we went. And to my surprise, the chaplain giving the service he didn't emphasize so much about the birth of Christ as the death and resurrection of Christ, and he preached the gospel that Christ died for sinners and invited GIs to come forward to give their life to Christ. Well, I should have responded to that, but I didn't. In fact, I mocked it. For weeks after that, I mocked it. And some of my hardened GI buddies would say, come on, Kenny, give us a break. Because in the church I grew up in, we didn't do altar calls and respond in that kind of way. So there I was, having had an opportunity and rejected it. I went back home and discovered, yes, indeed, my fiancée had found somebody else. But if I was really trying to get to heaven, I realized that I had to forgive this guy. So one morning after the church service in this big church there in Milwaukee, I met him on the front steps of the church and shook his hand and said, I forgive you, Pete. The pastor was rather impressed by this. He expected us sort of duke it out, but that didn't happen. And so the pastor made me chaplain of the young people's group and the college and career group. And he said, what you need to do is go to seminary and become a minister. And I said, Pastor, there's something missing within, and I don't know what it is. And he really didn't know either, because after all, I was a member of the church. I had been baptized. I'd been confirmed. What else was there? I'm not trying to knock this thing in formal churches of baptism, but let me just picture mine. When I was baptized, my father was there, and his cousin was there as a godfather. And what they do is they are taking your faith. They are saying, our faith will represent this baby's faith until we can confirm in 14 years that he has his own faith. Well, the problem was my father didn't have much faith. And my father's cousin, who was my godfather, was an atheist and ultimately a Nazi as well.